Inside a house located in the middle of the woods, Maddie is preparing a full-course lamb dinner with guidance from her laptop. It is instantly revealed that she is deaf. As she tastes her cooking, a notification pops up on her laptop. It's Sarah from next door, asking if she can stop by. Maddie spots her friend walking towards the house. Sarah tells Maddie through sign language that she had just finished reading her book. She then asks how Maddie comes up with her writing. Maddie tells her that it's called writer brain. As her mother would say, it makes her go crazy. Any possible outcome is like a movie in her brain with many endings. Their conversation is interrupted by a loud and blaring noise. They run back into the house to find smoke coming out from the oven and the fire alarm giving off a very intense warning. Maddie apologizes for her hell of a fire alarm and tells Sarah that she needs it because she has to feel the vibrations in order to wake up. She gives Sarah her own copy of the book before Sarah bids her goodbye. Later that night, Maddie is sitting alone in her living room trying to finish up her manuscript. Feeling frustrated, she tries to distract herself by cleaning the mess in the kitchen. Suddenly, her friend Sarah runs up to Maddie's kitchen door, screaming and crying, desperate for help. She is trying to open the door, but it's locked. Maddie is cleaning the kitchen but is unable to see her friend. Sarah's piercing screams stop as an arrow lunges and pierces her back. A male intruder in a ski hat and white mask catches up to Sarah and stabs her against Maddie's kitchen door. He continues to stab her until her lifeless body slumps down to the floor. The intruder tries to catch Maddie's attention by knocking on her door, but Maddie doesn't respond. He immediately deduces that she is most probably deaf. As she continues working, the intruder sneaks into the house with one hand bearing an arrow. He is about to stab her when he is interrupted by Maddie's sister Alex video calling her. He grabs Maddie's phone and hides. Alex asks her how Maddie's book is going, but Maddie says she's stuck and needs a distraction. She persuades her to come back to the city and live with her, but Maddie doesn't want to. Their conversation is interrupted when Alex asks if there's someone behind her because she saw something move. Maddie reassures her that it's probably the cat. Maddie picks up her cat's bowl and begins rattling it. She goes around the house shaking the bowl, but her cat is nowhere in sight. She pays no mind to this and leaves the bowl by the open door and goes back to her writing. A notification pops up on her laptop and reveals a message sent by Maddie's own phone. Confused, she opens the message to see a picture set of herself while she was having the call with her sister. Petrified, Maddie walks to the open door to see the masked intruder holding her phone. She quickly closes and locks the door before he can get in. The intruder, armed with a crossbow, goes to every door of the house trying to get in, but Maddie locks all of them. The power goes out, and from the window, she could see him slashing her tires. There's no chance of escape now. Maddie grabs a lipstick from her bag and desperately writes on the glass door. She says that she won't tell anyone, she hasn't seen his face, and her boyfriend is coming home soon. She's hoping that the man would accept her bluff. The intruder takes off his mask to reveal his face and neck tattoo. He asks Maddie if she can read his lips, to which she nods. Now that she has seen his face, he has to kill her. Maddie runs back to her kitchen to grab a knife. She goes to her bedroom and secures the door and windows. As she huddles in one corner, trembling and crying, something starts banging on one of her windows. Terrified, she looks up to see the intruder carrying Sarah's dead body and banging her lifeless arm against the window pane. Maddie drops her knife in shock and backs away, crying at the sight of her dead friend. Maddie realizes that Sarah must still have her phone with her. She tries to distract the intruder by activating her car alarm. Once he's occupied, a gasping Maddie makes a run for it, opens the window, and reaches for the phone inside her friend's back pocket. The intruder immediately catches her in the act. He tries to snatch her, but she closes the window on his fingers. He screams in pain and tries to pry open the window, but she smacks his arms with a hammer, causing him to withdraw. She locks the window again, wasting no time. Maddie hides from the intruder. As he circles back around the house, she quietly sneaks out of the kitchen door and hides under the crawl space of the patio. Just as she's about to make a run for it, the intruder launches a crossbow, stopping her in her tracks. Refusing to be a deer in headlights, she runs back to the house and makes it safely inside, barely escaping with her life. Desperate for a way out, Maddie goes upstairs to her loft. She cracks open a window, squeezes herself out, and lands on the roof with shaking hands. Maddie then tosses a flashlight into the woods behind her house, catching the intruder's attention, and he follows the light. She starts walking across the roof to the front of the house, her legs shaking with fear. As she's climbing down from the roof, the intruder surprises her with an arrow to her leg. He takes another shot and narrowly misses her head. Maddie pulls herself up, gritting her teeth from the pain. The intruder begins to climb up to the roof, but Maddie knocks him over in time, grabs his crossbow, and tosses him back to the ground with a painful limp. She carries the crossbow back into the house just in time to close the upstairs window. Just as she's trying to load the crossbow, Sarah's boyfriend, John, arrives at the front door looking for his girlfriend. The intruder stops him in his tracks, pretending to be a police officer. He asks John for identification and tells him that he responded to a 911 call made by a resident. He then tells John that an intruder knocked him over and took his gun and radio, and now he needs to borrow John's phone to call for backup. John became suspicious and questioned how Maddie could have made the call, given that she was deaf and mute. John then informed the intruder that there was probably a spare key hidden under one of the plants near the patio. While the intruder searched for the key, John approached stealthily with a rock in hand, prepared to attack. Maddie spotted John from the kitchen door and began banging on the glass to alert him. This distraction allowed the intruder to stab John in the neck. Gasping for air and bleeding profusely, John fought back, grappling with the intruder and managing to trap him in a chokehold as they fell to the ground. Meanwhile, Maddie watched the struggle, evaluating different escape options in her mind. With an injured leg, she couldn't outrun him, and using the crossbow required a perfect shot. Attempting to restore power would likely result in him catching her before she returned. If she chose to hide, he could easily break a window with a rock. If the intruder doesn't find her, she knows she'll bleed to death regardless. She can't return to the crawl space. Her heart wrenches with the realization that her time is short and pain is inevitable. The intruder breaks free from John's grip, pushing him aside. John succumbs to his wounds, unable to aid Maddie. Seizing the moment, Maddie shoots an arrow into the intruder's shoulder. He howls in pain, his anger driving him to pursue her. Chasing Maddie into the house, he traps her hand in the kitchen door as it closes. Maddie, unable to scream, weeps as he crushes her hand, fracturing her fingers. With her last strength, she pulls her hand inside. As the intruder tries to break through the glass door, Maddie uses her remaining hand to describe him on her laptop, then locks herself in the bathroom. As she waits for him to burst in, the intruder stealthily enters through the broken window and creeps up behind her. Just as he is about to strike, Maddie feels his breath on her neck and swiftly turns around, stabbing him in the knee. He screams in pain and lunges at her despite his injury. Maddie, with a broken hand and bleeding leg, hops back desperately to the kitchen, collapsing beside a cabinet. As the intruder approaches, she sprays bug spray into his face and triggers her fire alarm, gaining a precious moment. He closes in on her, and they wrestle. He punches and chokes her, but Maddie fights back, exploiting his injury. He slams her to the ground and chokes her again. With her life flashing before her eyes and her heartbeat slowing, she reaches for a wine opener with her last strength and, with a mighty swing, stabs him in the neck. He releases her, choking on his own blood, and collapses beside her. Maddie gasps for air, then reaches into his pocket for his phone, dialing 911. This is her chance to escape. With a final glance at the intruder, she slowly makes her way to the patio, where she sits down next to her cat. As she pets her furry companion, she sees police lights in the distance. She closes her eyes and sighs. She survived and she won. If you liked the summary, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. It's free and really helps me keep growing.